through synthetic biology, nanotechnology. Essentially,
100%.
just think of people like Ray Kurzweil. I always go back to this, Lisa. He did an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think it was in 2023, or even last year, and they were talking about when the deployment of nano robots inside of people to optimize their health would be available. And he said, well, Ray said, oh, well, we're working on it, but by 2030, definitely we'll have it perfected and deployed. Well, you don't perfect and deploy technology just like that. This stuff is in
No.
the works for years and years and years before it's at the point of public disclosure. So this is all, I mean, I think they're past the experimentation phases personally.
100%. This started with the implementation of pharmaceuticals in the 1900s. I mean, getting those chemicals inside of the biological system, infiltration, again, we're dealing with an enemy that is extremely deceptive, expertly deceptive. So, when you talk about xenobiotics, if you're familiar with that, that's another term. It's a whole area, it's a whole apparatus of study and exploration and experimentation. Well, xenobiotics, the definition is a foreign invader. So that's pollution, that's this chemical fog. Those are considered, and they are mechanical because they're chemical compounds, most likely, are primed with this bacteria. Again, just another variation, another term that's masquerading for what we've just been talking about. So they've got all of these different areas of study and different names for these, but it is all an intrusive, elaborate system to infiltrate the biological system to take it over mechanically. And each and every little one can be, a tiny little machine. I just was reading an article, very in-depth article, and the authors literally referred to, it's from Wales, South Wales, and it's an older article. I'll send it to you. And it's just about the bacterias and how plague has been implemented as a weapon for centuries. But it called viruses tiny little micro machines.
Wow.
And language is very important. We need to understand patented vaccines or patented viruses are machines. They are micro leveled machines. It's machinery, it's coded software. So obviously, as technology has advanced and we've all become reliant on it, and this new, this one world medicine and one world, vaccines and digital ties and everything's, you go to the doctor and everything, pull up your chart and it's got everything. That's all in the cloud. It's all because of all of the devices. And naturally, the devices, the chemical compounds and the synthetic biology that has been infiltrated into us is acting now as that synthetic biology. Like I said, we've been in the midst of a forced evolution for decades.
Yes.
Of this, this transformation. But where I believe is what's going on, and again, it's a theory, is that it's when everyone's talking about the digital twin, and it can mean several things. There's not one basket that all of this is, that there's one thing that's happening with it. There are a plethora of different avenues and different platforms that are being implemented. But the digital twin, the brain, the scientist or the enemy wants to absolutely control the mind, the DNA. It's an infinite amount of data storage. And they need that. They want that. They want to consume that. But, let's just say, for example, from the neck down, the biological system physically and how it operates, they want to keep that working as it does and the mechanics of that, because as we talked about earlier, we are the most efficient and effective machine or system that takes in a substance, rejuvenates it and works it and creates energy with it, and then will release, shed, eliminate the waste of that. That is all productive products to the enemy, because it is energy and it's recycled into the next phase. So neck down, we are little units of supply and demand, plants, factories.
This is I think back to an interview that I did with Celeste Solum some time ago when I first started learning about synthetic biology. and how widespread this really was. And I was absolutely floored with the information that she shared with me in that first interview. Then I started digging, reading for myself, looking at the patterns, looking at the medical literature. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so much worse than we've realized. She said one thing that distinctly stood out to me was that she said they want to replace all biological life with synthetic life. And
Yes.
when you look at the ambitions of the tech industry and how they're all kind of linked with symbio, biotech, and you even look at some of the people, and I keep referring back to my recent interview with Andrew Arnold. Not enough people have seen this. When you look at the people that were behind the inception of Doge, they all have links to biotech, big
Yep.
tech. This is data is the new gold essentially for these people, and Yuval Noah Harari said whoever has control over the data is going to essentially rule the world. This is what
Yes.
the arms race is for. But the
100%.
but
100%.
the bigger picture is the stuff that you're talking about. It's the use of humans like cattle for the energy for this dystopia that they're building.
Yes. Well, the data is energy. Again, this electricity AI technology that needs to be implemented, it has to run on energy. So not only are they siphoning and pirating and taking it from us, kidnapping us and extorting it from us, they are then using us to continue that ability to extort it from us. So literally they have to, and just like you said, the masses will be the walking, talking batteries that will facilitate and will be the ones, we will be the ones that are running and manning or keeping the machine, the data, the data collection stations running. I wanted to share this with you. So the NIH, the definition of Homo sapien, this is the official scientific and medical definition of Homo sapien. Use of man as experimental subject or unit of analysis in research.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yes, I mean, we are very much, and we've talked about this before, you talk about it so genuinely and sincerely, and I truly believe it is a spiritual war. And for those that, whether or not you're spiritual, if you have a faith, if you at least don't recognize that, then you can't really wrap your head around the cruelty and the destructive, sadistic nature of what's going on, of the the enemy that we are up against despises humanity, but yet is also, and in that they are, it is about a complete transmutation of our biological systems.
Well, that is exactly what all of the players that are rising to world control are about. This is why I keep saying to people, there's this celebration of all the good things that are happening, and I understand, yes, it's great to expose corruption and be, fiscally responsible and all of those things. That's fantastic. But we have a current war on humanity, a war that's happening on our biology that isn't being addressed. And I know that RFK Jr. just yesterday gave this speech, as at the time of this recording, it was yesterday, gave this speech where he's talking about the things that he's going to be focusing on and investigating. And I'm just pulling that up as we're talking, Lisa. So he said, he's going to be investigating the rise in chronic disease in America. Nothing is going to be off limits. So he mentioned ultra-processed food, electromagnetic radiation, good, childhood vaccines schedule, glyphosate and pesticides, artificial food additives, SSRIs and other psychiatric drugs, microplastics, and more. No mention of mRNA. No mention of the Stargate. In fact, during his confirmation hearings, and I put this down to, well, he just needs to get through, he praised Operation Warp Speed. And so he didn't mention adult vaccines. He didn't mention in this speech that he's going to be looking into this. And this is in line with what doctors like Mary Talley Bowden were saying, where they feel like there's been an infiltration, there's been a shift away from mRNA, which is the most present danger that we have because of shedding, of course. And
Right.
so, what about geoengineering? That was a promise of RFK Jr. as well. He didn't mention that in the speech yesterday. And so, I know we have to wrap up, Lisa, but this is what I see. I see the shift is being moved away. It's almost like people are being corralled into forgetting that there is this war on our biology, that there is this war to cyborgize us. And the people that are in charge of that right now are currently changing the country and changing the world. You have JD Vance going to Europe